Welcome to the link this week, and we continue. We think it's a privilege to be able to facilitate your business decisions, especially in this difficult time of COVID, with appropriate information that is going to help you stay afloat. And even when this crisis is over, how do you stay, how do you continue? Tonight we are discussing the element called risk. I know you have heard of risk, but we are going to try to understand it in terms of if you're doing a business. What is risk? And tonight my guest is Mr. Beka Byaruhanga, who is a risk management specialist and a certified public accountant. So, Mr. Byaruhanga, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you, Samuel, and thank you for having me tonight.
Okay. Risk is an English word. I remember it in my primary English. Risk. You are risking. You don't risk going out. There may be thieves, stuff like that. However, we're talking about business. Is risk in English the same as risk when we're referring to business?
Okay, thank you for that question. Yeah, indeed, generally speaking, risk, the mention of the word risk implies danger, generally speaking. But from the business perspective,
yes,
risk is two-way. Risk is the effect on the objectives that a business has set out to achieve.
Like making profits.
Like making profit, which is one and the main objective of a business. Now, the word risks or the concept risk means that there could be items or issues that may hinder me or as the owner of the organization to realize that objective.
Okay.
And there could also be other scenarios or other developments in the market that may make my business, my realization of that objective come true. So you have to be prepared for both. You have to prepare for the worst and also prepare for when the good things come your way. So the element of risk in businesses also brings in the concept of risk management as a business person.
You sound like risk is normally external. Is it also, can it also be internal?
That is true. The risk, while analyzing the risks or identifying the risks, you look at both internal and also external.
Okay.
Just as aware, risks categorically, they are in three. We have the business risks, which are mainly industrial based. If you are in an industry, there are risks that are sector based and also organizational based.
Okay, internal
now. Now there are non-business risks. Now those are to do with government policies, those are to do with technological advancements, all those other things that you do not have control or say over as you are doing your business. Then there are also financial risks.
Yes.
Now those are now risks to do with the non-performing loans, for example, for banks. There are risks to do with all those other things that are about finances. So they also bring in the issues of hedging, all those things. Those are all avenues or areas in financial risk.
So in other words, risk management has to be cognizant of all those. Let's move on.
Yes.
COVID, has anything changed in terms of risk, or has it just been amplified?
Now COVID-19, which has brought the new normal. COVID-19 came, no one would say that or claim that I was ready for this pandemic, but what came was, it came by shaking almost every risk, more or less like actualizing most of those risks. But you'll find that organizations or individuals that were in one way prepared, there is what we call business continuity plans.
Yes.
For businesses that have those that had made considerations to do with business continuity plans, they definitely sail over as compared to those that were just looking on. So the shaking that has been brought in by COVID-19 is to do with the new normals that have come in. For example, there has been a big effect in the supply chains. There has been this issue of social distancing, which you and me are now getting used to. You can see the distance where you are. Now, this one affects much more with big businesses because not all businesses will have all the space that is required for that distancing. So you'll find organizations saying we can have 30% staff that can come in the organization, say on a rotational basis. We've got instances where you say, no, the critical staff, which at times also called the skeleton staff.
Essentials.
The essential teams. Now, that has impacted businesses in a way that the productivity has to change as the new normal is learned, and that learning curve in most cases has to affect the productivity of staff and definitely the profits. There are also organizations that have had to go virtual, such that they have to make sales by way of going online, and the related investments in making that one possible. Definitely the risks now, when you go virtual, you cannot also roll out the cyber threats.
Yes, I was thinking about that.
Yes. So when you go online, especially having been occasioned by this pandemic,
there's a risk of exposure.
There also is there's another exposure that you have to manage accordingly.
Let's move on, Mr. Yarwanga. We really need more time to, but let's just take this question. Risks call for provisioning and hedging. Yes. Where do I draw the line between perceived risk and real risk or actual risk? Yes. So that I don't don't put my energy in managing what is perceived maybe more than what is real. Where draw the line?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sam. Now, when we talk of perceived and real, maybe I'll take you to the risk management process. Now, what you consider perceived and real is a question that is answered at a step when you are sieving the identified risks in your businesses to know that yes, this risk is there, but this one does not cause all that. We always and after that you do the rating of the risks that you have identified. Okay, you list them and then you prioritize. Now, and in that after the prioritization, you are also informed by the rating, which is to do with the probability, how often has this risk, for example, appeared in the past? What is the possibility of it of happening? And if it happened, what would be the impact? What is the danger? Yes, what would be the danger on our objectives? So all those ones at that stage, you would be knocking out all those that are should I say, they are very dim as far as your attainment. They are more remote. Yes, they are more remote as far as that is concerned. Maybe what I didn't share with you earlier is that in risk and risk management, you are informed, or you make all those projections and sievings that you make or you go along in risk management based on the available information that you have gathered. Your research teams, in the market surveys, all the links that you can have to have up-to-date information, and that is adequate for you to make the necessary decisions as far as risk management is concerned. This is my takeaway, therefore. Yes. In terms of risk, I need to have information, and I need to sit down and assess. To make a decision on where my risks are for a business. Yes. Very, very nice. Can a business really insulate against risk entirely? So I have all of them on the list. And is it possible to insulate myself against all risks? Mr. Samuel, I'm afraid you may not. You may not insulate yourself against all the risks. Okay. Maybe for the benefit of the our viewers out there, I will just outline the risk management process. In 1 minute and a half. In 1 minute and a half, so you say. So you'll conceptualize your risks, and in the conceptualizing, the main thing is to identify what your objectives are as a business. Then secondly, you identify what could hinder you from getting or realizing your objectives, or what may, as we said, it's two-pronged, depending on how you are looking at it.
Yeah.
Then after identifying them, you assess the risks. You have identified all these many now, but which ones are important? Then you will do, after assessing and rating them and attaching them the appropriate risk and the control measures and all that you have to look at, then you treat the risks. If it's a risk and you see that you cannot bear the whole risk, for example, you've heard of scenarios of insurance.
Yes.
So you transfer this risk that the organization would have incurred and say, let me part with this premium, insurance premium, and put the other risk the other side. So there are various mechanisms of treating that risk. Then the fifth one you implement by you buying the insurance policy is one of implementing.
Okay.
Then finally, you have to report and then monitor and evaluate at some point. Key to note is that, especially with this pandemic, is that you have to be much more agile than before.
You move fast.
Yes, I have had instances where after formulating those risks and creating risk matrices, the risk registers, they are put in the shelf. Then after 3 months, you remove the kafufu.
I'm being told my time is up, and that's when people are catching on. We will come back to you later, Mr. Byarhanga, to another chance to explain risk. Viewers, Mr. Byarhanga has been explaining risk to us, and it's major takeaway. Even if you have a small business, you have to sit down and do some thinking, some processing, some writing down, some assessing, and therefore base that to make decisions, not just guesswork. That's what risk entails, and that's how you can survive.
It is futuristic.
Thank you very much for joining us. He said futuristic. That was the link tonight.
Yes. Thank you very much.